Okay, so I want to kind of talk about the Slave 1 real quick and some of the features and parts and stuff that are going on with it. Because there's a lot of stuff and a lot of things I try to work in here. Some I think work pretty well, some I think that'll be fine. So I just going to just give you a brief overlook of some of the details for the ship itself. So as of right now, the best way to have this thing stationed is going to be probably laying on its back. I went ahead and added points along the engine plate, which is going to be this back area here, where it can comfortably rest on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. Okay, so it should be able to fit on a table and rest here. These are all even points, and then the piece itself, depending on how big it is or what scale you print it at, probably is going to be about 5 feet long for 1/12 scale, and then probably about 3.5 feet long for 1/18 scale. As of right now, the big features are going to be the articulating wings. So let me kind of just bring that in. Sorry, I had to recenter my pivot on this. So those can go about 90 degrees. And you'll see that there's going to be a pylon right here that when it rotates, it'll kind of fit in there with. So that'll rotate. And that's not linked to anything. That's just you just rotating both of these wings individually. Okay, there's nothing linking them together. Also, I have the loading ramp fixed here. So this actually kind of goes along a track right here. So it's not like freely rotating or anything. There is actually a place for it. And I believe I have it to where it's going to more or less kind of like snap in up here at the top. So hopefully that should work well. Although that's not enough for a figure to get out of. So I went ahead and also put in a top hatch that will go as well. And this is coming from footage from The Mandalorian, and then also from the original Empire Strikes Back film as well. So I'm going to pull in details from that. I wasn't initially going to make this ramp slide out like what they do in the toys. However, that's not considered accurate, so we didn't go that route. Okay. So you can see some of the detail we have here. I try to put as much detail as I could in all the spaces and try to think of like, well, what's reasons why we would have details here. Maybe there's like radiating fins here. Maybe we have some exhaust ports located under here for maybe the life support. And then same thing back here. I kind of worked in some detailing for like what could be the warheads that he drops, the mines. We have the big engines. We have the detailing for this engine here, this dish detail as well. The guns themselves do rotate. So they will rotate right here. And then the main canopy will lift off as well. And then I do have several internal panels as well that can be removed and lifted out to reveal internal spacing. So kind of the fun thing with this is that these pieces lift out and then they will actually fit back in, and there's little notches to hold them in place. And then I felt like that's not really enough room, so I went ahead and also decided to make both of the wings slide out. So they will come out like that. So the entire wing assembly can just come out, so you'll have more access in here. And then those will hopefully, at least the way I designed them, they'll fit back in, they'll slot in. You'll see this little keyed port here, and these two little keyed pegs right here, and these little pegs are slightly mushroomed, so that it should lock in. That's what I'm hoping towards. It's thick enough, I believe it should be able to hold this real well, and so we shouldn't have any stability issues. But that'll allow you to take out the entire wing assembly right here, so that you can get better access and view the internals of the ship. Okay, so this is kind of what we're looking at for internal play. Okay, so let's just kind of walk through some of the detailing in here. So I have some just like detail like on the internal, so I thought there might be like a superstructure, almost kind of like a World War II aircraft, like the bombers and stuff, where they have these like ribs and stuff like that that kind of support the skin of the ship. Then I have like some piping that goes along here. I have some internal paneling details here. I went ahead and put an armory, and then the armory has little clips on two levels that you can peg in weapons. So if you print this, I'd probably do some sort of like more flexible material. PLA may not work that well, but something like a TPU or something probably would be good to use. And these are separate pieces, and they'll peg in right here. I did do some ladder pieces going up. So if you want to have your character like get up to the second floor, there's a feasible way to do that. And then up here, I need to figure something else out to put up here, but have some space up here. Both of these pieces peg in. So these are, you can print them separately or just not print them at all if you don't want to. And then there's some space right here. And then in here is like the main cabin. And then there is this little bed pod that I created. And so these are big enough to fit 6-inch figures. And then you have some personal storage spaces right there as well. And that'll slide right into there, right into the like chin, nose, whatever you want to call it, of the ship. One of the last things on my list is to do the cargo area. I think it's called the cargo area. I'm not sure what to call this area. Let's turn that off for a second. To do the cargo area of the ship, or maybe where the passengers sit, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, I need to do their chairs. So there will be some extra chairs and maybe like a table or something coming out. And then in DeLorean, they only had like 4 or 5 chairs, I think, in that area. Yeah, so there's a ladder that goes straight up here. That's detailing seen from The Mandalorian. And then this will go all the way up into the cockpit. Cockpit has chairs that I'm pulling detail from Mandalorian, Empire Strikes Back, and Attack of the Clones, and Book of Boba Fett as well. So these chairs are, somewhat accurate. I'm also pulling detail for the controls, and from what I can tell, it looks like they actually use a flight stick instead of like a to control the Slave One versus like a something like the Falcon, where it has like more like a Boeing flight setup, where it has like a wheel type thing or a controller, or like what the Millennium Falcon has. Up here is kind of what I'm thinking of as like the forehead or the brow of the cockpit. This piece here, I wanted to put some sort of like airlock or some sort of detail, but there's a piece that needs to sit in here to get that correct look for when this thing is rotated up. So that's what this big chunk is for. I just added details and stuff what I thought like what could work. But the general idea is that basically this thing, maybe it could be an airlock, storage area, I don't know. It doesn't function, it's just a solid piece, but it's just, again, it's just added greebling and detailing. So, you know, a big feature of the Slave One is they have this rotating cockpit. We never see it in Empire Strikes Back, but we do see it in the toy from Kenner. We see that in the Book of Boba Fett. We saw that in Mandalorian. So it's, you know, canon that this is a rotating feature of the ship. And it always seemed really weird to me that there's this large, apparently two-story or two-level rotating cockpit, which was kind of odd. So, you know, how does this thing function? So what I've come up with is there is a frame that holds the upper floor, and there's pins on the sides, and so this whole thing, this top floor and this bottom floor, rotate up and out. And let me see if I can get, okay, cockpit final parts. Let's transpose that set. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So what I did is I just had the whole thing just rotate up, okay? And so once it's rotated up, it actually fits into this spot right here, so it can't rotate any further back. And then the chin of this whole piece will slot into a little piece right here. So it actually kind of will lock into place. And then kind of something fun, I think, is that now it opens to reveal this area. Now this was not what the back wall looked like for the cargo area in the Book of Boba Fett. You never see this. But I figured, well, you know, if this rotates up, this is like a whole section you could fit like a figure in. They can walk around. So if it's in flight mode, does the gravity change? Is this the floor or is this now a wall? But either way, I went ahead and put a Falcon style ring, cushioned ring in here, and then that could lead back into like this area right here. So now there's just like extra space. And then the floor, the fake floor, false floor, what do you want to call it, where this thing goes into, has some little like ladder step bits. So if you're, you know, if this becomes a wall, then I guess you have a character climbing up it, or if it's a floor, you could just walk across it. So I thought that was kind of fun. And then now you got this whole, you know, this whole piece where now you have Boba Fett, you know, or Jango Fett, Boba Fett, you know, or maybe you have, you know, different characters sitting in the cockpit. And it's now a multi-level piece. And I mean, you kind of sort of start to get like how large this thing is going to be. I mean, it's going to be just massive, like ridiculously massive. And, you know, I don't think 5 feet is unfeasible for something like this, but it is certainly going to be a very large piece for sure. Now, display. So, like I mentioned, this piece is going to be probably best suited to be sitting on its back, but, you know, this is, you know, one of the cooler ships in Star Wars, so, you know, why not have this thing sitting up, like in flight mode? So what I'm going to be working on is trying to develop a stand of some sort that I can put it up vertically. I don't know exactly how well that's going to work, but I assume there's probably going to be something that fits here, and then something also that clips in here, so it gives it maybe like 2 or 3 points, you know, something like it kind of cuts in like right here and here, and just kind of holds it up, and then, you know, has like display. Of course, you know, if this thing is standing up in this 1/12 scale, that's going to be over 5 feet tall. That's a really big piece. So if anyone prints it, please, for the love of God, tag me. I want to see it, because I'm not printing this at that scale. But if you do, you know, that'd be really cool to see. I think 1/18 scale is much more manageable. I tried to make as many of these pieces not really thick. A lot of them are just walls and floors. So, you know, gluing assembly should be relatively straightforward. Hopefully the weight won't be too bad. The only thing that I would suggest, definitely printing in, well, the canopy I definitely would suggest printing in resin, because you're going to want to have something that's going to be translucent. That and the seats and controls I would definitely be doing in resin. But it's up to you. I mean, it's your model. You can do whatever you want with it. But just my thoughts. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to be putting, this is up on my archive right now. I'm still cutting up the big pieces. Because, like, for example, like, I put the back shield, or the back plate, and the front plate up on the archive today, and I cut them up to fit a Bamboo P1S, which is 256 by 256 by 256 millimeters. And then I think this piece came out to about 20 something pieces. I think this one was probably a little bit more than 20 something pieces. So I'm just cutting it up to like match that size. If it's, you know, scale to whatever scale you want, I'll be putting up cut pieces when I get to them and get finished with them. But if you have any questions, you know, let me know. I'd love to hear some feedback. Thanks.